Welcome to Real World Peaceful Parenting, a podcast for parents that are tired of yelling, threatening, and punishing their kids. Join mom and master certified parent coach Lisa Smith as she gives you actionable, step-by-step strategies that'll help you transform your household from chaos to cooperation. Let's dive in.
Welcome to today's episode. Let me tell y'all, you're in for a spicy treat today. We are going to rock the house here at Real World Peaceful Parenting. I am joined by a very special guest today. We have Valeria joining us. Valeria is a Mexican-American living in Miami, super bright woman, incredibly successful and intelligent, the mother of a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old who she reports are both very strong-willed, nay, I say full contact sport young boys. And Valeria reached out to me wanting some help. And we decided that this would be the perfect opportunity to do some live real world peaceful parenting coaching for you all so that you could have a front row seat into what a coaching situation looks like, sounds like, feels like, and some of the solutions that I work with parents just like you to work through. So let me start by welcoming Valeria to the podcast. I'm so excited you're here.
Hi, Lisa. I'm very excited too. Thank you for letting me be here.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Okay, so this is the email that I got, the reach out from Valeria. She said, "Hey, Lisa, I bought your course, Peace and Quiet, the crash course for strong-willed kids." And she said, "It's totally amazing. Thank you." She said, "I've learned so much from the course, and I've just completed the third part. And here's my question, or my confession, I guess we could say. You said I struggle to set limits because I don't want to have a storm. So you're avoiding the storming. I set the limit, but then I don't follow through on them or respect them when my kids start to do the whole, please, mom, please thing, which I know oh so well. And you said screen time is our number one topic that the storming and the please comes over, right?
Totally.
So tell us more about this.
Well, as I say, I started with your course because I was thinking that what's going on with Mateo? He's always want to fight back. He never is like, he goes again and again. If I say no, he will never back off. So I was like, this is not normal. I have to find like some help. For the beginning, your course helped me to understand the brain of my kid, that I think that it's very important. And also the way that I was like sending him the instructions was the way that it wasn't not working. So in the beginning, I started to put like all these kind of limits that, okay, Mateo, we're going to watch movies only in the morning or in the afternoon. But after that, you are not allowed to see any more videos. Okay, mom, yes, I can do it, but please put me my movie. So he says yes because he wants to do the movie now. When the movie finished, he started like, can I see just like a blue episode? No, Mateo, and we agree that you cannot do that. Please, mommy, super, please. And I know if I said no, a storm will come. So I started with, okay, just one episode, just one, and that's it. But after that episode ends, it becomes another, please, it's the last one. And when I say no, there is the storm coming. So that's the thing that I don't know how to manage.
Okay, I want to talk about 3 things.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about the brain and what they're developmentally capable of. I want to talk about the storm, and then I want to talk about you. Because you're as important. Your storming, when he storms, or lack of storming or fear of storming is as important as his storm. So you touched on it in the beginning, and I just want to help our listeners understand, and this is what I know you learned in the course, Peace and Quiet, the crash course to parenting your strong-willed kid. The brain continues to develop from birth until the age of 25. So your 5-year-old, let's do the math on this. Your 5-year-old at this point, Valeria, is 20% of the way to a fully developed brain. 20%. I mean, I have a 19-year-old who's still 6 years away from that brain being fully developed. And let me tell you, girl, he shows that on the regular. God bless the kid. In some ways, he's 75% of the way there. And in other ways, he's 6 years away from crossing the finish line. It's like a duality, So your kid may be incredibly bright and articulate and have an incredible vocabulary and, be able to tell you what he wants. Mommy, I'm hungry. I want carrot sticks. But he's still only 20% of the way to a fully developed brain. And you touched on this, which I think is so brilliant. We need to expect from our children, and we need to set limits around what they're developmentally capable of. We can't over-index. We can't set limits that they don't understand or they're not capable of being successful with because he has a 20% developed brain, right? I mean, a client of mine recently said to me, Lisa, I cleaned the whole house and I told my 5-year-old daughter, now we're going to keep the house really clean. And I'm like, well, good luck with that because she's 5 and like all those words just went right over her head. So it does sound like you've grounded yourself in, I need to set limits around what my kid is developmentally capable of at 5 and at 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So we've checked that box.
Yes, correctly.
So now you say, I'm afraid if I say no, he will storm.
I know that he will storm.
We can take it to Vegas and put some money on it and we'll win.
Yeah, he will.
Not that you as a financial advisor would ever tell someone to put money into a bet in Vegas, but
yes,
okay.
Will.
Here's my question to you. So what if he storms?
The thing is that if he storms, for example, yesterday it was his brother's birthday. Okay. He wants to cut the cake before his brother. And I say, like, Mateo, you cannot cut the cake until your brother is here. So he stormed and I became a 5-year-old girl. So he stormed, I'm stormed too. It was like the power of the struggle of control. So the thing is that if he storms, for me, it's very difficult to keep calm.
Okay. So this is where the coaching comes in.
Yes, it's the calm. And then, for example, sometimes I start yelling at him, or for example, yesterday he hit me and I hit him back. And then I was like, what a bad mom I am. Then the guilt that I have because of that was killing me. So the thing is that I don't want to see him storm because I don't know how to control myself and I don't know how to make him stop.
Okay. I love this. And at the end of this, you're going to be a different person.
Hope so.
Okay.
Because now I feel guilty for yesterday.
Sure. Of course. And that's a good thing, right? Guilt is there in these instances is to have a wake-up call. You see what's possible. You're just not sure how to get there yet.
Yes.
And so I do want to say as a side note, I love the saying and I don't know who to attribute it to. I heard it once a long time ago, well before I became a parent. Guilt is the enemy of the effective parent. You want to forgive yourself. Tell yourself, look, you're here. When we know better, we do better. You're here getting help. You're getting coaching. We're going to improve this. So let's let the guilt go because once we've had the wake up, we've taken responsibility, which you've done. We're getting coaching. We need to forgive ourselves, repair and recover and move on because the guilt doesn't serve us. Right.
Right.
It's like, there's no point in feeling guilty over credit card debt. Like, okay, yes, you bought all the things, you spent the money. Now let's figure out how to get you out of debt and move on rather than wallowing in the mistakes of the debt in the first place, right? You can relate to that, right?
Totally. And especially because he already moved on and I'm not. I'm stuck in there and he moved on.
So that's a good point because when we don't move on, then the next storm comes and we're triggered not by his actions, but by the guilt. Here I go again. Why am I doing this? I'm a horrible parent. It's never going to get better, right? These are the things that trigger us, which is exactly why as a parent, if you're hearing this and you can relate to Valeria, you've been in her shoes. I know I was for many years. We don't want to marinate in the guilt. Use the guilt to have a wake-up call and then move on, right? If, again, back to a financial example, if every time I meet with you, you're my advisor, and every time we meet, I'm saying to you, oh, I feel so guilty for all the debt. And I look at my credit card statement every day and I look at the debt or I think about my bills. You'd be like, girl, we got to move on to create a financial plan to get you out of debt. So wallowing in the debt doesn't get you out of debt. We've actually got to take action. Okay, perfect. So now we're going to talk about how to take action.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Mattel starts storming. He wants to cut the birthday cake. It's a perfect example. But it's his brother's birthday. We're going to let the brother cut the cake.
Of course.
Makes total sense. But he wants what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
And at 5 years old, I don't know how to self-regulate. I don't know how to hold space for other people. You're telling me it's brother's birthday and we need to wait for him. None of that really means anything at this point to your kid. And what may be happening is you're thinking, I'm explaining all this to him. I am explaining to him why he can't cut the cake, and he's not fill in the blank, listening to me, getting it, understanding. Like I am explaining to him, right?
Right. Totally. Like,
I mean,
I explained to him.
You might even have grown up in a household where you're thinking, listen, son, nobody would have ever taken the time to explain this to me. They would have just pushed me out of the way, sent me to my room, whatever. And I am actually being a good parent by taking the time to explain it to you, and you're not even listening to me.
Totally. It was just like that.
Okay.
And for me, it was like, why are you being so selfish? It's not your party. It's your brother's party.
Why are you being so selfish? Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. There's the underbelly. Yes. So let's answer that question. Why is he being so selfish? Because at 5 years old, he's completely self-centered. Now, don't let this scare you. Doesn't mean he's going to grow up to be self-centered. It means right now, where he's at in brain development, he's stuck in only thinking about himself, and he wants what he wants. And when they have needs and wants and they aren't met, big feelings bubble up, right? Cortisol gets secreted through the body. And what happens is once the storm gets cooking, it shuts down any ability to hear. This is scientifically proven. Hear, think, or respond. I mean, it's literally a storm. Like, you live in Miami. It's like a hurricane is making landfall and you just got to get out of the way. I mean, there is no stopping a hurricane.
No, the best way to define it is a storm. That's it.
Exactly. That's why I call it that. Okay. So you said, I find it difficult to keep calm. Now, here's the interesting part. One finds it difficult to keep calm, not because of what your son's doing, but because of your thoughts about what your son is doing. Because I could be there at the birthday party as a parent coach of 15 years. Your son would be storming. I wouldn't find it difficult because I would have different thoughts. Oh, he's really struggling. He doesn't understand why he can't cut the cake. So your job in these moments is to do a couple things. Observe your thoughts while you're having them, not take it personally, really not take it personally, and realize that he's in a stage of development where he literally can't absorb anything around him when he gets into the storming mode. So let's break those down. Number one, we've got to observe and manage our thoughts, right? That's number one. Yeah, he doesn't understand. He doesn't get it would be a much better thought than why is he not understanding what I'm telling him? Because in the heat of the moment, he is not going to understand it. When you're in your survivor brain, your middle brain, it literally cuts off any access to your higher brain. I mean, we see adults like this all the time.
Yeah.
People getting into fights at football games or confrontations at Starbucks right? I mean, this is where I am so in my fight or flight survivor brain that I can't even hear when you're saying, ma'am, calm down, we're solving your problem, or we'll go get it, or whatever. So you can't be in your higher brain and your middle brain at the same time, okay? And what's really important about this is that if a kid can't be in his higher brain and middle brain, an adult certainly can't. So I need you to stay in your higher brain while your kid is in their middle brain. And we do that, Valeria, with our thoughts. Of course he wants to cut the cake. He's 5. Of course he wants to be the center of attention and cut the cake and eat the delicious sugar. And when I say to him, wait for his brother, it's his brother's party, of course he's selfish or self-centered because this is the phase he's in. We also don't want to catastrophize because he's so self-centered at 5 doesn't mean he's going to be living under a bridge with a shopping cart at 25. Right? Because that's probably the other thing. Oh my gosh, if he's like this now, I mean, or I've got a brother, or I've got a cousin, or I know someone who did this when they were 5 and now they're living under a bridge with a shopping cart. Ergo, my son will be living under a bridge with a shopping cart.
Totally. And what will happen when he has a job and he's selfish with his boss? Things like that.
Right. This is where we have to believe in our ability to discipline and coach and set limits over time and turn on the internal compass within our children. You have to believe you're going to get them to where they need to be, because catastrophizing is only going to further trigger you into storming alongside him over the birthday cake. Can you see this?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So reflect that back to me in your own words. I'm going to observe my thoughts. Tell me what you heard.
So I have to observe my thoughts, and I have to do, especially the keyword that you use is that it's not against me. That helps me a lot, because sometimes when he does something, it's like he wants to bother me. And no, I cannot take it personal, because it's not.
Right.
So I think that the part number one that I have to be, and also understand that in the edge of his mind, he's self-centered.
Yes.
So I have to start with that kind of thoughts to change my thoughts. That will help him a lot.
100%. He's not a colleague. He's not an adult. He is not operating from a fully developed brain.
Mm-hmm.
And the little mantra I love to offer you is Q-tip. I have to Q-tip. Quit taking it personally. Right? I love the saying from Peggy O'Mara, our kids are not giving us a hard time. They're having a hard time. And so if you can look at him as though he is literally having a hard time, not wanting to cut that cake, then empathy can come in, and your brain will flood with chemicals released in your brain from the empathy rather than the anger and the fear, right? We're, as parents, 99.9% of the time, we're triggered from a place of fear, anger, or not feeling heard, or some combination of all three. So our kids are not, we just want to stay out of that fear, anger, and not heard mode and stay in the, what is he capable of developmentally? Now, it doesn't mean you don't take him in the other room. If he's standing in front of the birthday cake and you've got 20 people there, and it doesn't mean you don't take him in the other room to finish the storm, but you do it with empathy without taking it personally.
Got it. Actually, when that happened, I bring him to like a separate room.
Yes.
And I was like, we're going to talk about this. You cannot cut the cake. It's your birthday. I understand. But then he stand up and he hit me.
Okay.
And he hit me hard. So that's the point that I was like so frustrated that I like hit him back. And then he started like, you cannot hit your son. I'm going to call the police. He's always like that kind of thing. So that was like, then the guilt was killing me. But I tried to do my best to bring him to a quiet place to explain. But he was like, I think that at that point, the storm was like in its highest point. His and mine.
Yes. Okay, let's talk about that. So you did a great job taking him to the other room. Okay. When we get to the other room, let's try this. Oh, sweetheart, I know you really wanted to cut that cake, didn't you? I know. Tell me all about it. You don't need to explain to him.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've already done the work of taking him away from cutting the cake. You are in charge. This is not a debate where he's going to win and go cut the cake. We don't need to explain again. What we need to offer him is to feel seen, heard, and valued by listening to him about how he wants to cut the cake. And if you say, sweetheart, I totally get that you wanted to cut the cake, it doesn't mean that you're agreeing with it and you're suddenly going to back out into the dining room and let him cut the cake. You're just acknowledging that in that moment, what he really wanted was to cut the cake. Because if you take me in the other room and you further explain to me how I can't have what I want, as a normal kid, I'm not going to like it. But as a strong-willed kid, now you're power struggling with me. And I'm not going to back down. Never, because control is the number one thing I want. See, the thing is, when we connect with our kids, when we allow them to feel seen, heard, and valued, it doesn't mean we're agreeing. We're empathizing. We're understanding in that moment what you wanted. I understand in that moment you wanted to cut the cake. I get it. And if you want to tell me all about it, I'm here to listen. Yes, mommy, I really wanted to cut the cake. I know, sweetheart, it's so hard when you can't do what you want to do, isn't it? Yes, mommy, yes. Oh, sweetheart, I know. Do you want to stay here a few more minutes, or do you want to go back out and watch brother cut the cake? Now we're redirecting after we've connected.
Excellent. And we're giving him options.
Right. It's connect and then correct. If you go straight into correcting me, I'm resistant to it. Right?
Amazing. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So that's the second step. So step one is not take it personally. Step 2 is provide empathy to the child. I am struggling. I'm signaling I'm struggling to you with the storm. It's like an SOS. It's like a flare. So as a parent, that is not our moment to fix or lecture or explain or justify. It's our moment to just let the storm ride out, not take it personally, and provide empathy and redirection. Then later, we can talk about the lesson that we want to teach our child. But when the child is storming, there are no lessons to teach because I literally can't hear you, right?
Right. Totally. I understand. And what can I do if he hit me?
I love the saying, every behavior communicates a need. So when he hit you in that moment, what he's saying is, my lid is so flipped. I am hurting so bad that I want to just strike out. I would let the storm completely calm down. And when you're in your higher brain and he's in his higher brain, then I would talk about how in this family, we don't hit when we get angry. Although maybe we do in this family because you did hit him.
I know
So
that's
the
the
bigger,
confused.
So the bigger picture is it's not our words that matter. It's our actions that we're modeling for our kids, right? So
Right.
maybe later the conversation is we both need to work on not hitting when we're angry. I'm going to work on it so I can show you what it looks like. And I want you to work on it, son. Right. So we're going to, but much later when we've recovered from the storm, then we're going to talk about how in this family, we don't hit people. But we have to mean that when we say that. So we have to work on that, right? So the biggest step one here for all of us, and I had to learn this too, is to not take it personally because my son would start storming and my thoughts would be, here we go again. Why is he doing this to me? He's so disrespectful. I can't believe this. How's he ever going to be productive? Like I would go down the black hole fast. That black hole, once you go down the black hole, you're going to get triggered. It's impossible to show up regulated when we get that cortisol cooking in our body. Now, the other thing is the more we stay calm, number one, they then can borrow our co-regulation. And then we're modeling it for them. We're saying when we don't get to cut the cake, this is what we do. We stay calm. So kids don't do what we say, they do what we do. So we really have to model this for our kids. You can't, I'm not saying you, but all of us can't talk a talk and not walk it. They don't listen to our talking. They watch the walk we walk.
Wow. Yeah, totally. That's true because I am the one that has to give the examples that I have to regulate myself first. And then I can start talking. First I have to regulate and then I have to show empathy because if not, the things are not going to work.
Exactly. Because I'm hurting. I'm 5 and I've got this fast acting intense hormone called cortisol raging through my body. I'm uncomfortable. I'm dysregulated. I can't think. My heart is racing. I'm taking shallow breaths. The blood is rushing out of my stomach. And I'm in like this, and you're trying to use words to talk to me. And it's 0.0% helpful. I like to say there's a right time to parent and a wrong time to parent. And if your kid is storming because he can't cut the cake and you're trying to parent him with logic and words and reason and rationale and justification, it actually makes the storm worse. There's all these words coming. So I'm already in this, and then you're using all these words I don't understand. And there's too many words and there's no break. So what it does is it takes a category 3 storm and makes it a category 4 and then 5, right?
Totally.
So all I need in that moment is just understanding, room to storm. Like storming doesn't mean, this is the last thing I want to talk about, Valeria. Storming doesn't mean you're a bad parent. It doesn't mean you've done something wrong. It doesn't mean your kid is bad. It doesn't mean you're not connected. It doesn't mean, my brain is 20% of the way developed. Okay. So let me ask you this. Remember when you brought Mattel home from the hospital, newborn baby, your first one, the first few weeks were crazy, right?
Right.
Okay.
Scary.
2 a.m., you're sleeping, finally get to sleep. You're in deep sleep. And all of a sudden you hear storming, crying.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get mad?
No, not at all.
Take it personally?
No.
Okay.
He's hungry.
Right. Isn't it interesting how our newborn storm and we don't get mad? Listen, I didn't want to get up at 2 a.m. and do the feeding. I really didn't. But I didn't get mad. I didn't think Malcolm was disrespecting me when he cried at 5 a.m. I didn't think that he was giving me a hard time, but he was storming to get his needs met because that was his mode of communication. Something is wrong here and I need you to fix it. I need connection. I need attachment. I need entertainment. I need a diaper change. I need to be burped. I'm ill. I'm hungry. I need something. And so at birth, I have a need and I storm to get my need met. Can you see that? Okay.
Yes, I can.
And then they become verbal. And for some reason, and I haven't figured out why yet, when the child becomes verbal, we immediately assume that the storming then becomes an ode to us, an offense to us. But, you know, your 5-year-old wanted to cut the cake and he couldn't. And so he's storming to get his needs met, which is I need to work this cortisol out of my body and I might need a little bit of attention. Like I'm struggling that it's brother's birthday and I need a few minutes of reassurance that I still matter. I don't need you to use a lot of words and justify with words that I don't even understand why I can't cut the cake. I need you to let me storm. I need you to not take it personally. And I need you to just give me an understanding that I'm not a horrible human being because I'm self-centered and want to cut the cake.
Yes, that's totally the way that you describe. And I like it because it's a different perspective.
Yeah.
Like to help him and to help me, because something that I love of your podcast is what do you prefer, relationship or behavior? In this place, I prefer totally relationship.
I love that for you. Yes. Yeah. So taking him in the other room for a minute and giving him empathy, is it inconvenient? Yes. You want to be in the kitchen with the 2-year-old and watching the joy on his face? Yes. But he needs a minute. And here's the irony. At 5 years old, the average storm, if you don't interfere and take it to a higher level, the average storm lasts 90 seconds.
90 seconds. Wow.
If you bear witness to it without taking it personally, with empathy, and don't upregulate it to the next level, reactivate it, the average storm lasts 90 seconds.
Wow. That's very good to know.
It doesn't feel like that. I know sometimes it feels like 9 hours, but on average, you know, if you could have just stood there and just, oh, sweetheart, I know you're dying to cut that cake. Of course you are. He's going to look up with you like, you get me. You understand me. You know, one of the greatest compliments my son has ever given me is, I think he was about 17 and we were having a intense discussion one day. And he said to me, Mom, you really get me. You really understand me. And I thought, you know, yes, I do, but it's not because I was like, I have a special, I do have a connection with him. It's not like that connection came natural. It's that I've worked over the years, once I learned this work, to make sure that he felt seen, heard, and valued, even when I knew he was wrong. I didn't agree with him. I didn't understand what he was saying. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm a permissive parent and I let him do it every once. I would never let the 5-year-old cut the 2-year-old's cake. Let me state that for the record. But I can understand that the 5-year-old, because of his brain development, wants to be the center of attention, sees that cake and wants to cut it. I want what I want. And when we approach that with a calm, not taking it personally, understanding and empathy, then I feel heard. And even though I don't win in that I get to cut the cake, I win that you understand that I want to cut the cake.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you. That's like a very different perspective. I don't know if I can give you one more example. The biggest trouble is with screen time.
Okay.
He loves YouTube, especially he likes to watch videos all the time. I think that we have like a lot of rules around it that for him is different to understand. For example, for me, it's like, okay, in weekdays, you can watch YouTube after you brush your teeth and in the way at school, but that's it. And in weekends, you can see a movie in the morning, in the afternoon, but you have to pick one ride wherever we are going so you can watch a video. So I don't know if like it's confusing to him because there are like a lot of kind of different rules around it. And the thing is that when he's not getting ready to go to any place, I'm always like, do you want to watch a video? So I'm breaking the rule because I need to get him fast. So I don't know if the limits can be flexible or not. That's the thing that I started also to give him a lot of options. But sometimes I think that the options make me a permissive parent. I don't know if you understand me.
I do.
That's the thing.
So there's a lot in there. So let's sort of dissect it out a little bit. I think that I always only recommend two options, A or B, red shirt or green shirt, eggs or, oatmeal. Because at 5 years old, if you give me too many options, I melt down over, I can't choose. I'll never forget. I took Malcolm, I don't know if you remember back when we had that toy store called Toys R Us. Do you remember that store?
Yes.
I mean, oof. So I was excited. He was probably about 5 and he had saved, $20 and we were going to go to Toys R Us and get a toy. And at the time, I didn't really understand brain development. So I march him into Toys R Us and I'm like, okay, buddy, pick. And, he had like a category 10 meltdown. And we ended up, I ended up picking him up and swooping him out to the car. And I eventually learned like, okay, before we got to Toys R Us, we'd decide what aisle. And then we'd, Legos. Okay. And then I would pick 2 Lego options and put them on the floor. And I'd be like, you can have A or B. And he could pick A or B. And that was much more successful. So with 20% brain development, I would limit the options. I mean, even with my kid, I limit the options to A or B because, it's just too much. I'm overwhelmed. Strong-willed kids get overwhelmed very quickly because they have very big emotions and the highs are high and the lows are low. And so I always recommend, A or B. So I would reduce the number of options down. The other way you're sort of shooting yourself in the foot, if you will, is by being inconsistent, right? So we set rules and then we want to use, which I totally get. I used it too. We want to use videos as a babysitter. Okay.
Totally.
And I get it because sometimes, listen, life's busy and we've got things to do and I need to go get some extra work done. I didn't finish my project and I need to, finish recording my podcast episode. Okay. But if you're going to be inconsistent, then the price you're going to pay is the storming when you turn it off. And you know what? That's okay. Just let them storm. Don't try to force the storm to go away. Don't try to bribe it away. Don't try to threaten it away. It's like a beach ball. If you hold it down underwater, eventually you let go, it's going to come up with velocity. But if we just let the beach ball skim the surface of the pool, it just kind of rolls around. So if you have to be inconsistent, because listen, Lisa, sometimes I just got to get dinner started or I've got to do something and I'm going to stick them in front of the YouTube to watch a movie or a series of shows, then expect the storm. Welcome it. The storm just means I'm not handling this very well. It doesn't mean the video is rotting my brain or I'm a horrible person or you're a horrible mother. It's not a report card. It's just this cortisol built up. I was enjoying this and then it went away and I can't understand why it's going away because I don't understand time. You might even be like, hey, if you promise to be a good boy, when we turn it off, I'll let you watch 2 videos. Yes, mommy. Yes. I'm agreeing to anything. I don't know what I'm agreeing to. It would be like me agreeing to a contract in Spanish. Valeria, I don't read Spanish, so I might sign it. And then you're like, but you signed it. Yeah, but I didn't know what I was signing. It's the same thing. Okay.
Got it.
So the price you're going to pay, if you will, is the storm. And if you go, yeah, okay. And that's the price I'm willing to pay. I'll just hold him while he's upset because he watched 2 videos and now we can't watch anymore. It's okay.
Yeah, because the storm will come when the video ends and in the next day he's gonna, if I'm cooking, but I can watch videos while you're cooking because yesterday you let me. So it's gonna be, no, yesterday was a different kind,
You just say
situation.
not to, you don't explain. You just say not today, sweetheart. And I know you're unhappy about that. Do you want to tell me all about it? Do you want to use your words? Do you want, and then you let him storm because his 20% developed brain doesn't understand why Tuesday I got to do it. Habits form in little kids very quickly, especially, habits. They're hardwired for FUN. You've heard me say this, FUN, and get their needs met.
Mm-hmm.
So yesterday, those videos were FUN and I want them again. I don't want to have to entertain myself. That takes energy and work. I want to sit down and have this entertainment fed to me. I get feel good chemical in my brain. I don't have to think. I get to laugh and giggle. I mean, these videos are hardwired for FUN. And then I get like, I want it. I want it. I want it. It's like, eating a donut every morning on vacation.
Mhm.
And then
Of
you
course.
come home from vacation, I look down at my oatmeal. I'm like, I don't want this. I want the chocolate glazed donut I had on vacation every morning,
Mhm. Mhm.
or the buffet of anything I want. Right. And so now I'm back home and you're dishing up oatmeal. And it's like, I want the choice. I want the sugar. I don't want the oatmeal. In 1 week, I developed a habit of having the donut holes at the buffet every morning at breakfast. So you just let the kids storm over the oatmeal and then we move on with our lives.
Okay. Okay. I have to stop being scared about the storm.
Yes. Yes, because then we do these things. We threaten, we punish, we bribe, we cajole, we sticker chart, we do all these things. And you're putting all this energy into those things. I'd rather you put your energy into just bearing witness to the storm. Yeah, I'm here for you, buddy. Because remember when they stormed when they were babies, it didn't bother us,
Mhm.
right? We may
Right.
not have liked it, but we weren't mad about it. We weren't trying to bribe our kid into not waking up at 2 a.m. to feed. We
Perfect.
weren't threatening our babies.
No, correct. And for example, when he's like, I want to have ice cream for breakfast, I remember you that calm but firm. So it's, no, my love, you cannot have ice cream for breakfast. And that's like, we are moving on because that's kind of limits. And it's like wants, not needs.
Right. You could even say to him, again, to connect before correct. Oh my gosh, you love ice cream, don't you? It's so yummy. I know. Oh gosh, I love ice cream too. We're not going to have ice cream for breakfast this morning, sweetheart. See, I didn't use a but. I gave empathy and I gave a little pause. You're acknowledging he loves ice cream. I get it. And then you can think to yourself, and a 5-year-old doesn't understand breakfast from dinner. Sweetheart, Malcolm, I used to, I'd be like, what's your favorite flavor? Oh, mom, this week I love Oreo cookie ice cream. This week I love cookie dough. Oh, sweetheart, me too. Oh, ice cream is so yummy. Do you want oatmeal or eggs?
Okay. Yeah.
Because I feel connected. I feel heard. You heard that I love ice cream. And then you redirected me to oatmeal or eggs.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. Connect, then redirect.
Connect.
Always connect.
That's very important. Mhm.
Right? Connection leads to cooperation. Most of us think it's cooperation, then connection. It doesn't work like that. Right? I mean, I go into Starbucks, my favorite place. And the first thing they say is, welcome to Starbucks.
Mhm.
Right? They're connecting with me before they make the request. Well, I don't walk in and they go, what do you want? And
Yes.
I say, vanilla cold brew. And then they say, okay, now that I've taken your order, hi, how are you? We don't do this to adults, right? You and I had some nice, beautiful, get to know each other chit chat at the beginning. I was connecting with you before we hit record. And yet with our children, we think it's let me request or redirect you and then I'll connect with you. But the human brain is not built like that. So you connect through, I didn't know you loved ice cream. You love ice cream? Good to know. Do you want eggs or oatmeal? Or
Okay.
I know you love ice cream. Tell me your favorite flavor.
Perfect.
And then if he has to storm because you've offered oatmeal or eggs and he doesn't want those, you bear witness to the storm, knowing that's what he needs to move on. Knowing it's not something to take personal. It's not a report card. It means nothing about me. It's that some cortisol built up in the body. Like he woke up that morning and he thought about ice cream. He's like, oh, ice cream. I want ice cream. I want ice cream. And he comes out and announces, I want ice cream. He's disappointed. He's frustrated. He doesn't understand. We don't need to make him understand all that at 5. We can connect and then redirect.
Okay.
It's not meant to take personally. You are going to have a massive transformation in your parenting when all I need you to do is Q-tip. Quit taking it personally.
Perfect.
Because then I'm staying in my higher brain. I'm staying in my higher brain where I've got executive function, where I can think a couple steps ahead, where I can connect all the dots, where I can be creative, where I can be calm. And when I parent from my higher brain, there's no explosion. And then on top of it, I'm modeling staying calm. Now it's going to take years for him to take over, but you're modeling it. And another side benefit is you don't feel guilty.
That's it. The guilt. I hate the guilt. Okay. And I'm also trying to negotiate with him a lot because I also learned that about you. But sometimes I'm scared that negotiate leads me to be a permissive parent.
Yes, we're not negotiating.
Okay.
Once we've set the limit, we can negotiate as he gets older in the setting of the limit. But once we set the limit, we never, ever, I don't care how old your kid is, we never want to renegotiate the limit while in the middle of enforcing it. Okay, so for example, I'll give you a 5-year-old example. On a Tuesday, you let him have the 2 movies after school so you can get dinner going. You're going to make paella tonight, takes a couple extra steps. I'm coming for dinner. You want to get it going. So when I get there, we can have a glass of wine. I can hang out with you. So you're like, I need to get a little head start on my paella.
Mm-hmm.
So you put him in front of the video and you give him 2 videos and then you turn it off. All's going well. We have a lovely evening together. You're feeling great. Mother of the year. Okay. Wednesday comes and now tonight we're just having warmed up leftovers. So I don't need to prep for dinner. I want to play with my kids for a couple hours and spend time with them. And he says, Mommy, I watch videos. And you say, not today, sweetheart, because you've already made the decision. Not today, sweetheart. We're going to do something else. We're going to go to the park. No, videos, Mommy, please. That is not the moment to renegotiate the limit that you've set of we're not going to have videos today. That is the moment to hold to it. Now, later, if you want to question, should I let him have a video every day after school? Maybe I should let him have 1 video. Later, when you're back in your higher brain, you can consider that. But in the moment when he is begging you, or he is hitting you, or he is yelling, or he is running away, or he's throwing himself down on the floor, you are not in your best self parenting higher brain. That's not the moment to question things. The other thing is, if we're constantly bending the limits because we're uncomfortable enforcing them, then what happens is not following through on the limits can do more harm than good. It might feel like you're protecting the peace, but it inadvertently fosters entitlement and it sends the signal to your kid that storming gets him what he can get him his way. So then he starts to use storming as a weapon rather than a tool. Right now, it's a tool. I'm dysregulated. I need to burn this cortisol off. So I'm using it as a tool to signal that I need help. We don't want him to learn to use it to get what he wants.
Understand.
Yeah.
Perfect. Got it.
Here's the last thing I want to leave you with, and we'll wrap up here. Here's what I want to promise you that is a fact. Rules and limits help kids feel safe, know what is expected, and loved. If we're constantly setting limits and then not following through, the child grows up feeling insecure. Is this one she really means? Can I talk her out of it? How big of a storm do I have to throw? And it invites this power struggling on top of power struggling. And it makes me feel insecure as the child with an underdeveloped brain because I don't understand what limits mean. And I don't understand how to follow them. And I don't understand, is this the time you mean it or not?
I got it.
When you enforce a limit you've set, so back to the example, it's Wednesday and you've decided we're not going to do videos today and you hold to it. It's like a 401k. You're turning on the internal compass in your kid. You're investing in the future and his ability to be able to hear rules and follow rules and not like them and storm, but still respect them and understand them. And they help him feel safe and they help him feel secure in trust you and feel secure in the relationship and feel loved. Because when my mother sets a rule, 99% of the time she follows through on it. And so I can rest in the safety of it.
Excellent. Totally understand.
Yeah. Okay. So Valeria, take all that and run with it. Thank you for helping. You're paying it forward. There's so many people that are going to really benefit from hearing our coaching today. So thank you for coming and being so real with us, real world peaceful parenting. And I know I can see it in your face that you learned a ton. So what I'd love to do is follow up with you in a few weeks and hear how these lessons transformed you and your family and what you noticed and how you're showing up in a different way. So don't worry, listener. I'll try to encourage Valerie to come back for a follow-up conversation where we can sort of give you the where's she at now version of how did this all land and what did she notice and what was different for her. Sound good to you, Valeria?
Sounds amazing. I will practice everything that you just said.
Good. Okay. So stay tuned, listener. And thank you for being here today. Again, thank you so much for paying it forward to the world. I know these episodes always really help people a ton. I know you're not the only one struggling with this. I know there's tons of mothers of 5-year-olds out there that are going to really, and parents of strong-willed kids at any age that are going to really take a lot away from our interaction today. So a big hearty gratitude and thankful to you. Appreciate it.
Thanks to you, Lisa. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to listen to your podcast, and I always learn a lot.
Oh, I appreciate that. All right, listener, if this episode resonated with you, slide over to Instagram and leave me a DM. Let me know what you learned. When we write things down, it deepens our learning. So I'd love for you to let us know on this episode what you learned, what you took away. If you have a big aha moment, I'd love for you to share that with me too. I always consider that my soulful currency. So take this and run with it. There's some great nuggets in here. And until we meet again, I'm wishing you peaceful parenting. Thank you so much for listening today. I want to personally invite you to head over to thepeacefulparent.com/welcome and sign up for my free Peaceful Parenting mini course. You'll find everything you need to get started on the path to peaceful parenting just waiting for you over there at www.thepeacefulparent.com/welcome. Can't wait for you to get started.
Thanks for listening to Real World Peaceful Parenting. If you want more info on how you can transform your parenting, visit thepeacefulparent.com. See you soon.